All right, guys, I'm back, and it's biology. So, what I tried to do with biology is pull some different review things that we have talked about before already in biology. I didn't want to introduce you to anything brand new just yet, and I know that we had our heart set on starting a vegetable garden when we got back from break. Um, Moving forward, I still want that to happen. Uh, Supplies and things are out now, and we'll get there. I don't know how, but we'll get there. Anyway, so today you had a packet on macromolecules, and it's been a little while since we talked about macromolecules, but if you guys will remember, you did a whole little activity with a plate, and you had the little clips that went on the plate that showed which functions of macromolecules or what functions come with macromolecules. So it's been a little while, but you guys know this stuff. On the front of that packet that I gave you is a food label. It's got a little reminder of what macromolecules are. I'll read through that in just a minute. And then there is a little bit of reading on those components of a macromolecule, which I'll go over here in a minute. And then there's some questions that go with that. So I'm going to start in the front, macromolecules in your food. The very front part I'm going to read to you guys here. So it says the nutrition facts label tells you what nutrients or compounds of food your body needs to grow and stay healthy, and how much of those nutrients are found in one serving. The nutrition facts label can help you make choices about the food that you eat. The nutrition facts label on the outside is it's on the outside of most of food packets. You guys have had a chance to do this. Some of you have had health with Mrs. Fritsch, so you also looked at food labels there too. So you can do a little bit of that today. So if you look, you've got the sample one on the front. It has macaroni and cheese, everyone's favorite, right? It'll tell you step by step how to go through this, right? So start here, check and see how many servings are in the package, what the serving size is, check the calories, limit these nutrients. So check, what daily percentage of your nutrients that you're getting, vitamins and things and sugars and all that down at the bottom. And then some footnotes down at the bottom as well for you to take a look at if you want. Really, we're going to be focused on those macromolecules today when you guys are looking at your food labels. So remember too, and it gives you a reminder down at the bottom, macromolecules are very large molecules formed by smaller subunits. And so we've talked about what those subunits are before. Remember carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, amino acids, all those things that we've talked about before. And they're going to discuss those on the second page here. So if you turn to the second page with me, the first one that they talk about is carbohydrates. Remember, we talked about, well, where do we find carbohydrates? Well, that's in a lot of your starches. Starch, remember, has to be broken down in your body, and it's a source of energy, but it's usually a quick energy. So remember, that was that one that we said, a lot of athletes will eat pastas or things right before a big race because they need that quick surge of energy to use up. So it's a fast burning energy or macromolecule or subunit of macromolecule. So I'm going to read through the carbohydrate section, so bear with me here. A carbohydrate is an organic compound that consists only of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. And it's been a little while, but we did even talk about those where we broke them down into how many hydrogens and how many oxygens each of these things have. Your body uses carbohydrates to give you energy, as I said, and helps keep everything going. Your body can use carbohydrates immediately or stored in your liver and muscles when it's needed. In general, the small carbohydrate compounds are commonly referred to as simple sugars, which we can find in products like fruit, vegetables, milk, that you'll get the simple sugars from. These simple sugars are broken down quickly and give you short-term energy, like I said. Starch is a complex carbohydrate. It's broken down through your digestion before your body can use it as an energy source. Quite a few foods contain starch, and we know that's like breads and cereals and certain types of vegetables. So carbohydrates. So when you're looking at your labels today, it's going to ask you, I think it's on that last page, it's going to ask you the total grams of carbohydrates. So you get a chance to look at some food items here soon. All right, the next one is proteins. Remember that was our longer source of energy. And on your paper here, it says proteins are part of every cell, tissue, and organ in our bodies. These body proteins are constantly being broken down and replaced. The protein in the foods we eat are digested into amino acids and are later used to replace these proteins in our body. Protein is mainly found in the following foods like meat, poultry, fish, different types of beans and peas, tofu. I know you guys all know I'm vegan, so I can find plenty of protein in nuts and seeds and all those types of things. Also in eggs and milk products and certain types of grains. Most adults in the United States get more than enough protein to meet their needs. It's rare for someone to be unhealthy because they haven't gotten enough protein. Moving on from there, it says there are 20 different amino acids. We didn't talk about all of those, but just listen as I read through here that join together to make all types of protein. Our bodies cannot make some of these amino acids, so they're known as the essential amino acids, which we talked about a little bit earlier in the year as well. They are essential to your diet. A complete protein source is one that provides all the essential amino acids, for example, like meat and poultry, fish, milk, eggs, cheese, those types of protein sources. Okay, so carbohydrates, the quick burning proteins, the energy that stays for a little bit longer. And then we talked about lipids. If you remember, lipids are a type of fat, ones that we need. I think our example was when we talked about the seals and those fat stores that they need in order to stay warm. So here we go. The term lipid is sometimes used as a synonym for fats. But this is technically incorrect. True fats are composed of triglycerides. Now, we didn't talk too much about triglycerides. It has a couple questions on here about it, and it explains a little bit. So listen here. Moreover, triglycerides that are solid at room temperature are called fats, while those that remain liquid at room temperature are called oils. Triglycerides are also composed of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen atoms, but in different ratios than in carbohydrates. I'm not going to get into the ratios of how many carbons and how many hydrogens. That's not necessary for you guys to know. Triglycerides have long chains of carbon and hydrogen bonds, which create the hydrophobic or water-fearing tail. This property prevents triglycerides from mixing readily with water and causes them to separate relatively easily in solution. So think about if you were to put a little bit of vegetable oil or olive oil or something onto a plate and then you were to drop water on there, well, it's sort of going to lay right on top, right? It's just not going to mix easily, and that has to do with triglycerides. It gives us a little bit about unsaturated fats, saturated fats, and trans fats down at the bottom. Most of the fat that you eat should come from unsaturated sources, polyunsaturated fats or mono unsaturated fats. A fat is unsaturated if it contains at least one double bond. We haven't talked about these things. I know you talked about saturated and unsaturated fats in your health class, so maybe some of that looks familiar from working with Mrs. Fritsch. In general, nuts, vegetables, and oils and fish are good sources of unsaturated fat. Saturated fats are often the solid fats, but other saturated fats can be more difficult to see in foods that we consume. A fat that's saturated, if it consists of only a single bond. So in general, saturated fat can be found in the following foods like high-fat cheeses, cuts of meat, whole fat milk and cream, butter, ice cream, and plain and coconut oils. So on the next page, what it asks you to do, and this is where you're going to work with parent, sibling, grandparent, go through those questions. It asks you to answer some questions over the reading. So that very first page where it says macromolecules in my food. So you're going to use this with that reading that I just did. So just answer those questions. read carefully to find your answers, have someone in your home help you to check that your answers are correct. And again, just like all the other classes, at about 9 o'clock this evening, I'll go ahead and post the answers to everything so that you can check your work. Okay. On the last page is where you get to go into your cabinet at home. Now, before you do that, make sure you ask somebody. Don't just go picking through mom and dad's food or grandma and grandpa's food, whatever's in there. Ask them if you can choose 3 things in there that you're not going to mess around with, that you're just going to look at the labels of, and then make sure that you put them back and put them back where they were when you got them. So I grabbed, these are not mine, so I need to make sure I put them back right too. My husband likes to eat these wonton strips in his salad at lunch, so I grabbed these. And so on that last page, basically what it's asking you to do is determine what the main ingredients are. So generally at the bottom of your food packages, it's going to tell you what ingredients are in there. So you go ahead and list some of those ingredients. Maybe some of them will be very few ingredients, so like if you're finding cans of vegetables, there's not going to be a whole lot to write down. But if you're pulling out some crackers that have all kinds of different seasonings and things on them, your ingredients list is going to be a little bit longer, and maybe that'll dictate which things you decide to choose from the cabinet. And then it asks you to decide, or identify rather, the carbohydrates, the fats, and the proteins, which are all, again, listed in this area, and you guys have had experience doing that. And then it also asks you what surprised you as you read the nutrition facts for this food item. So was there anything that jumped out at you? Like, were there any weird dyes or any ingredients maybe that you're like, oh my gosh, I can't even pronounce that, but I'm eating it? Be paying attention to those types of things. This is, I'm having you find the components of macromolecules, but more importantly, it's about your health and the importance of reading food labels and making sure that things that are going into your body are healthy. So this is a great time to be, going through your food in your cabinet and maybe not pointing out to mom and dad that there may be some things that are not super healthy or have weird ingredients, but because we can't be picky, especially with the grocery stores how they are right now. But it's good practice for you guys as you get older. So that's all I have for biology today. As just like with U.S. history, for those of you that had me for U.S. history earlier, I will be tossing some more resources at you. And just because I put those things on there does not mean that you have to do them. It's so, you can take control of your learning. If you want to go beyond the few things that I offer here, you have time to do that if you want, or it looks like it's going to be a beautiful day outside. Go outside and get some air, get some exercise, do some chores and things around the house for mom and dad. All of you I know have me for English, and that's kind of our first assignment, is identifying the things that we can help out with at home. Those are important things. Okay, so that's it for biology. I will see you again. So remember, we are A days. So tomorrow is a B day. The only thing I have some of you for is math. And then what's today? Thursday. Thursday will be the next time that we do biology. So see you then. Bye.